The last team, the last day, and the last stretch to make it to the Atlanta Major. Welcome to the finals of Brazil LCQ, where we will be crowning one team the winner to represent our region alongside the teams who have already qualified at the Atlanta Major. I'm Gina, your host, joined on the desk by CDAPS. And you know what? Never thought that I was going to say this, but the finals is going to be up against Net Shoes Miners.
You know, I'm thinking that these teams might be a little bit surprised themselves as they found what was within and transformed into very competent rosters that have looked so much better than the glimpse we got of them in the regular stage. Both of these teams, they dropped down into the open qualifiers. They had to fight through the slums against a bunch of hungry rosters looking for their first chance. And right now, they've come out on top and are leading us all the way in this final best of three.
Damn, that was so deep. I'm gonna need a diving suit, but no, absolutely. Beautifully put here, CDAP. Some great poetry. I bet you picked that up from Faramate. But as well, Los didn't come here unscathed, though. They did lose one map against Vivo Keith Stars, and then when you're looking at Net Shoes Miners, it was a clean 2-0 for both of their series. But now, they're gonna be facing off grand final in a best of 3. And you kind of already touched upon it a little bit, CDAPS. The fact that we've seen both of these teams during the regular season, a lot of question marks in terms of their performance, but so far in these best of 3s, when the pressure is on, they're stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, especially because we've talked so much of the battle of mid with certain rosters. On this side, we're going to get a really good battle in the attacking side of Netshoes Miners against the defensive side of Los, where both of them leading the league so far. And overall, sure, you can say the defensive side for Netshoes Miners versus the attacking side of Los is going to be a little bit more difficult, but those are arguably the points for both of these rosters where they've had the most improvement.
Yeah, and that improvement has only been going and going and going up. So today is the testing point. It's that limit testing of which team has reached the biggest and the most amount of their potential, and it's going to be able to show up better on today. And I think looking at Los, one of the teams that we've highlighted in the last couple of days in regards to the fact that they have been playing really well, especially with the step up that we've seen from Cameraman. So all eyes, I feel like, are on him this time around.
Yeah, and the defensive side already for Los, it has been strong the entirety of the stage. Sure, you can make some points about their defensive recoveries being insanely low, but ever since they had that game with Liquid where they were finally able to break the seal on having a resilient round, losing the opening pick and bouncing back on the defensive side, it almost is like the just plug at the bottom of the funnel has opened up and even stronger defenses have started to flow out.
Yeah, and they've been really showing us what they're capable of, and I think that's exactly what we wanted to see from them. Some of these great improvements over the last couple of games in this stage. That's what they needed to be able to qualify here today. But again, they're not the only team who has improved, because Netshoes Miners is another roster that have generally stepped up to the plate, and they have blown our expectations out of the water, because it no longer feels like one or two players are performing really well. It just feels like everybody remembered to switch on their monitor.
Yeah, exactly. And especially on the defensive side, they've switched it on. It's nearly a 20% improvement in just the last two BO3s that we've seen with this roster on that defensive win rate. They were hovering about a 27 as they went into the open qualifiers, and they bounced it back to a 46%. So if you think mathematically, you know, that's a big jump. It's because they've been so dominant on the defensive side, and they've looked so good in their matchups so far, taking 2-0 against E1 Sports, as well as another dominant win against a formidable Vivo Kids Academy team just yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So both of these teams really are hot when it comes to that motivation, when it comes to that momentum being in their favor. I do think so, maybe Netshoes Miners even more, because when we were looking at Los yesterday, they did lose one map 7-2, and the maps that they did end up securing ended up going to overtime. So they have genuinely been pushed to their limits and have already experienced adversity, which is something that when we're looking at Netshoes Miners, since they've gotten in the LCQ, they haven't really faced it. At adversity during the regular stage, I mean, they have faced it, but at the end of the day, they were bottom of their group for a reason. So today's going to be a really interesting one to see which team has also got that mental just completely checked off that bucket list.
Yeah, and for Los, they've not only shown that they can bounce back after close maps, but even within the map, they had a 5-1 comeback against Liquid, which is just almost a defining moment for their run so far, where you can say, hey, this is where they turned it on. This was the low point that we've seen so far, and they're continuing to elevate it. For Netshoes Miners, they haven't had that moment yet, and hopefully today they can really define themselves and maybe defy a lot of people's expectations.
Absolutely, but they always got to start with those map picks, because when we're looking at both of these teams, something that we said during the regular stage CDAPs was the fact that their map pools were a little bit of a kiddie pool rather than an actual pool. And there were some questions. There were not as many maps that we've seen both of these teams play, but it felt like that story has changed a little bit in the LCQ. But then it also, to me, is like, how much really have they been able to change and add to that map pool when it comes to the fact that it's only been a week?
Yeah, overall, during the regular stage, both these teams, they were really trying to heavily crutch into just maybe one or two maps, but ever since they hit the open qualifiers, both these rosters have only not played two maps. For Los, we haven't seen them on Cafe or Clubhouse. For Netshoes Miners, they also haven't gone to Cafe, but it's been Consulate that we haven't seen them on.
So do you have any predictions in terms of the maps that you think we're definitely going to be seeing, or maps that are just going to be immediately taking off of the drawing board? We're going to go back into the map veto, so don't you worry. We got you guys. Oh, we're going to be starting off with Oregon. Yay.
Yeah, I would have expected this map not to be played and to be banned immediately on the side of Netshoes Miners, because the last time they played this map, funnily enough, was against Los. And funnily enough, it was a 7-0 victory for Los in the Open Qualifier Swiss stage. But instead, they're going to leave it up and allow Los to once again bring them to this map of Oregon. Sure, once again, it might be the mentality of miners that are, hey, we don't need to win the opponent's map choice. We just need to win our own, being Border. And Border is not a map that we have seen Los play and feel that comfortable on, banning it more often than not through the map ban phase and going to a Chalet final decider that is very equal footing for both of these teams and should be a fun watch.
It should be a fun watch indeed, but also brings whether or not we're going to be going there. But Oregon, Border, and the Decider Chalet are the battlegrounds that we're going to be heading to today. Starting off with Oregon being picked by Los. Already touched upon it a little bit, but I want to dive a little bit deeper in terms of the expectations from Netshoes Miners when it comes to that defensive side, because it feels like it's something that I want to see maybe a little bit more out of.
Yeah, and for Los, attacking on a map like Oregon is a little bit more difficult, but it's one of those things that I can guarantee Los have probably had an attack on every one of the main 3 bomb sites a million times. Oregon, being an equalizer map, arguably the more just common equalizer map in comparison to Clubhouse, allows so much practice to be going through on this map, and especially when you're coming off a 7-0, Netshoes Miners has their work cut out for them.
All right, the fist bumps are all going around, and we're going to be heading into the first map of today, Oregon with Jonah and Flynn.
Thank you, Ginny. We dive into Oregon, where Los and Netshoes Miners get a chance, well, to do what they've been looking to do for quite some time. Put themselves on a plane to Atlanta to fight on the international stage. Both of these teams have had quite the journey through this last chance qualifier, through the open qualifier even, to get to this point. And this is for all the marbles. The final team, the 4th team to represent Brazil at the major, is one of these 2 teams we have in front of us. Either Los or Netshoes Miners are going all the way. Flynn, I know the desk talked a little bit about their thoughts and gave us an idea of what to expect, but I think I got to put you on the spot here and ask, who do you think is going to take this one?
Okay, yeah, you're definitely putting me on the spot here. All right. I honestly, I had this as a coin flip heading into today. If if gun to the earth, you have to pick one of these teams to win, I'm going to take Los, just given their calendar as a whole in 2023. I think the core of Netshoes Miners has definitely picked up their play in this LCQ. But just the scope of the sample size for Los so far this year, I would have to, again, gun to the earth to save humanity. I'm going to pick Los.
That works. That works for me. And I think on paper, that's probably the most reasonable choice. I mean, you look at Miners, a team who probably had fewer expectations coming into this LCQ, but have been defying those expectations left and right. They've kind of been playing better and better, almost ramping up their skill, their play almost through these last few days. And, well, it's been a pleasure to watch. The question is, can that continue here on Oregon, the equalizer map of all equalizers, where both of these teams are going to feel comfortable, they're going to feel confident. I imagine they're both going to come out swinging. You could say, though, that on map number 1, Miners starting out on the defense, this could go a long way.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that sticks out, like Connor said on the desk, 7-0 the last time these 2 teams, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like a week and a half ago in the open qual portion to get to this decider side of the LCQ. On this map is between these 2 teams, and Los absolutely obliterated Netshoes Miners off of Oregon 7-0. So I'm not quite sure if there's as much of an advantage here for Netshoes Miners being on the defense as, hey man, a 7-0 is a 7-0. You had to win on both sides of the game to accomplish that. So I think to start things off here, you're in a more favorable position statistically, but that most recent result is surely going to be ringing in the back of the minds of the Netshoes Miners players, and I think that's the obvious choice for Los to make this the pick for map number 1.
Well, we'll find out here, as I think Miners, they're looking to force the issue early. You've got Levy really looking to make a move. You see him interested in going for this, well, not spawn peek, but at least aggressive window peek here in T2. But now that he's been spotted, well, he is in a load of trouble, at least theoretically. Now that Los have pinned him down, all they've got to do is step up and deal with that. The one thing they may not know exists is Neskin around the other side, trying to provide some coverage on the crossfire. Levy as well has 2 impacts. He could try to work his way through attic and escape if the situation arises. For now, he will go further up into tower, however, trying to delay time even further.
Having a stroke? Yeah. So Neskin just missed dash walking down Green Hall towards kitchen. Unfortunate timing there for Neskin as he's made his way to those stage stairs, and yet he was unable to catch the Nomad on the rotation to get the opener. But I mean, for this roam right now to have killed half the round, not sacrificed any utility and not sacrificed any health, and now doing significant damage to Dots. The flashbangs will ring out and Dots on the rappel in will finally grab Levy, but at what cost? The Osa's down to about 40 health. And so much time has been taken off the board here from the attack, and they have barely progressed beyond T3. Dash made his way into kitchen, like I said, but there goes Neskin dropping Dots. That's the diffuser surrendered by the stage as well. Neskin in a good spot here to continue the rampage. Solo holding inside a meeting will take 2 down with him before he goes. Beautiful, beautiful roam there for Neskin and for Levy.
As a whole, they're setting themselves up so well for these last 45 seconds. Now Rose backs against the wall for 40 seconds to make a full rotation and turn their attention towards the site, a place that they have made very little progress on up to this point. We've got someone like Mitty keeping a watchful eye on that position. A couple of missed shots, though, will give Los a chance to move forward. Is it enough? 20 seconds. They have to clear through freezer, Kiba barriers, a crossfire established. The flashes will allow them to creep their way up towards the doorway. Dash will get that kill onto Basetto. This one's not over quite yet, but they need to do so much and have so little time. STK, last player standing, now has to get active. Diffuser going down, but it's Maya on the coverage that will start things off well for Los. A tough start in the round, but a strong finish.
Yeah, this is, again, what we were seeing out of the Netshoes Miners game yesterday, and for Los, both of them, honestly, having some difficulties when it comes to progressing throughout the round, but once that overwhelming surge of force came onto the bomb site, the actual executing to the objective itself, it worked out pretty good. Playing the trades really well in a 3v2 there, and honestly, for Los, an excellent recovery, because like I said, Neskin and Levy able to kill so much time and take 2 attackers with them, and it seemed like the Osa was integral to the plan, and Dotsy can be bringing out again to at least start out round number 2. The Osa seems to be part of the core game plan for Los, and losing that on the roam early, it's not a good start for the attack, but 45 seconds in a 3v3, they're able to adapt, they're able to recognize the situation and make the necessary corrections to be able to assault the bomb site and come away with the victory. And like I said, it was a 7-0 for Los against Netshoes Miners the last time these two teams played on this map. It's 1-0 for Los. I don't imagine we're going to see either team go on a bit of a run like that this time. This is the grand finals, map number 1 of the LCQ. Whoever comes away with the win in this series is going to Atlanta. So much on the line, and I think the way that Neskin and Levy have been playing, as long as the rest of the team step up and join them, it should be a very intense back and forth.
Round number 1, as far as the roam was concerned for Miners, probably went as best as it could have possibly gone. Right? Aside from the fact that they did lose 2 bodies eventually, they wasted more than 2 minutes of early round and took 2 bodies off the board. The tough part for Miners is that if they're able to do something like that and they're still not able to piece together a round win, that is when questions are going to start to get raised about this team, and maybe more concerns are going to come to the forefront. For now, we'll wait and see if that issue pops up again. It is clear that they are going for another roam, another extension. You've got someone like Neskin, who is once again playing down below, a bit more forward, not extremely aggressively, mind you, but still trying to take fights when those opportunities arise. That could happen sooner rather than later, because as we can see now, we are going to have Los go for a bit of a workaround here if they want to get this denial off the wall. They'll have to find a way to deal with that mute jammer. They'll take the time to rotate down below into Classroom and deal with it from outside. That's still some time that's taken off the clock, and Neskin, just you wait. He's looking for an opportunity to pop on up.
You can see there was one X-Kairos pellet going off on the wall, and I think the attacking team shot it because cameraman thought there's no point in doing that. They're just going to shoot our legs as soon as we try and breach anything else. The impact trick would have been devastating. So they get a can opener onto the wall, and SDK unable to impact trick it. Tries to play close to the breach, but nobody diving on in as of yet. Los right now, completely ignoring the roam like he talked about that was downstairs. The vault from the Gemini will establish SDK's new position toward the top of White Stairs. Having some difficulty lobbing the magnets towards Trophy Door like he wants to, and the visual from Loban towards the big window. Maya with one onto Levy, and the tap fires ring out from Loban. He's got a lot of ammo still left in that LMG. Seeing the resurgence of Finka, SDK has had to maneuver across the bomb site to get to a position of safety now inside of the kid's doorway. Neskin holding out for anyone entering, but as he turns around, he's able to get one, but there goes the prone peek from Cameraman. Down to the 4v2, making a 4v1, and SDK's the last man standing. The collapse into the bomb site, perfect for Los, and it's an early 2-0 lead.
On a map like Oregon, when defense is so strong, we like to say that attack is where the difference will be made. That is how you're going to set yourself apart from your opponents. If you can piece together successful attacks, and if you can do it on more than just one fluke round, on more than just those tertiary objectives, and I think Los are making it very clear that they know exactly what they got themselves into. 2-0 right now, a dominant second round attack. It started off simply with a good kill from Maya and just never slowed down at all. Relentless pressure once they got that master wall open. It did take them a few minutes to gather themselves, deal with that utility, but once they did, I mean, not to say it was game over, but it really felt like the round just kept on getting into Los's favor, and there was nothing Miners could do to clap back. It's the second time that Levy has been the opening kill here. Something that he's going to want to keep an eye on, especially now that we go back to basement, and it does look like that tower position is going to be interesting him again.
One notable omission that we've seen as a mainstay throughout most of Stage 2 is the Ying ban on the attacking side. There's no Ying ban, so Dots says, well, that's free game, I'm going to take it. Really onto the Ying. We've seen quite the myriad of operators coming out from Los as well. We'll see that unique operator stat at the end of each map, and I imagine Los's number is going to be relatively high in comparison to what NetShoes Miners have been bringing out, seeming pretty static with their roster of operators thus far. I think the Ying as well, you've only really got the Wamai near the box to be able to hold things out. You've got Jaeger ADS deeper in towards elbow. I think right now, this is still a very good spot with the amount of burn. 12 flashes that the attacking side of Los have brought to be able to burn magnets and ADSs to facilitate those Ying Candelas being a nuisance and an impediment towards being able to defend the bomb site when that rush comes out. We've seen that from Los. A couple minutes in the early round. Takes a minute to get going and takes a minute to get set up the way they want to. But once they are flooding into the bomb site, their trades are perfect. It seems like their comms are perfect as well. They know where everyone is at every moment on that execute. It's been going very well through 2 rounds now.
But this first 90 seconds, as before, needs to be dedicated to tracking down any roamers who might be positioned away from the site. It looks like in this case, the only one who was slightly extended was Neskin. He has all but retreated back towards the safety of the basement. That means that instead of having about 40 seconds and Los are finally looking towards the site, they're going to begin to pressure things at the 90-second mark. So very much more efficient than last time. But it also means that Miners are going to have a full force of Turtle defenders down below when the time comes. As I say that, Baseto will be the first to fall. The smoke, no less, the first to go down for Miners is not a good sign.
No, Baseto being the opener, especially exposing himself to outside of bunker as well to the Ying of Dots. Just carry the diffuser and he's dropped the Ying down to about 40 HP, but it's just not an equal trade. Time starts to tick away from Los, but again, that collapse has been so effective, and here come the Candelas from Dots being sent in towards the back of the stage hatch. I imagine he's going to let those ring out and then go for the drop, but no, it's a bait. He's actually rotating all the way over back to blue. I'm just watching his silhouette through the wall as we're watching Maya dart back and forth and try to establish an angle onto a player inside of Laundry. There go the Candelas, but Midi able to see straight through the flashes. Levy joining in the fun as well and backing off as Leskin takes damage. But there goes Cameraman now. He's recovered the diffuser and a flashbang comes out and the plant is going down from Cameraman. Midi rushing through the Laundry, rotate, being cut down by the Yana, but the plant, it is completed. Springing on up as Cameraman, once again saving the round. Now it's Neskin alone in a 1v2. Cameraman low on health. You can see both the remaining attackers evacuating towards Freezer hallway, and there's a Gemini clone out right now. He'll establish the positioning of Neskin. There it goes. No time here for Neskin to fool around. He has to take an engagement and possibly even bait out the second one. Trying to work his way towards the diffuser, but nobody on the side of Los will reveal themselves until Maya drops in for the finishing blow, and it's 3 straight attacking rounds on Oregon for Los.
And both attacks on basement looked eerily similar and troubling for Miners that they weren't able to shut it down again. It's never down to a single player or a single position or a single mistake, but we saw the same problem happen for Midi. 2 basement defenses in a row, holding that position by the washing machines in Laundry, in that close corner on the rotate. Several times where he's had a chance to take the fight with Freezer. He's seen 1, if not 2 players in that position, a chance to get a couple of kills, and simply missing the shots. It's not something we say a lot at this level with everyone in this lobby so incredibly mechanically skilled. But sometimes, right, first 3 rounds, you're still getting warmed up, and a couple of missed opportunities that so far, Midi is definitely going to be looking back on with some regret. Not to say that it would have completely changed the course of the round, but had Maya been denied on the coverage, maybe he would have been able to pop up and kill the planter. Maybe he would have been able to swing around the other side and stop that attack in its tracks. Hard to say. Of course, we know that Miners, they're going to go back to the drawing board here. They're going to try to regroup. The tack timeout taken, and basement, the site of choice once again.
Yeah, Miners going back downstairs for the 3rd time out of 4 rounds is... It's a choice. I think, honestly, this is one of the most defensible bomb sites on the planet in Rainbow Six Siege, so if you can't figure this out, you are definitely in some trouble. Getting it in order early on here would be a good idea. It's also, if they are able to win this, would open it up for them to be the last round of the first half as well. Should they win it, they'll have to not play it for 2 rounds and then come back to it. So, I understand the strategy behind it. It just looks a little awkward running it back for a 3rd time across 4 rounds. Still got the Jaeger on my double up combo, but no more Ying coming out this time on the side of the attack. We're going back to the Osa with dots. Cameraman seemingly loving the Capitao on this map so far as well. Again, real problem here for Netshoes Miners is, again, exposing themselves earlier on in the rounds. You see the Seto in the last round being the opening death as in smoke with 3 Toxic Babes in the pocket. Not a good position to be in, and again, that can be a very strong force, those Toxic Babes in terms of area denial and damage. Being able to ring out Levy again, going from these peaks. You can see Levy and Neskin trying to go for the roam. They're not going to stay as steadfast this time. Both bailing out within the first 40 seconds, unable to take anything with them. Unable to accomplish a whole lot on those roams either, but with their utility already dispersed across the bomb site, they were in a position to risk it, try and take some attackers with them. But we saw that in the first round, where they were able to have a successful roam, take a couple lives with them. The rest of the team on site wasn't able to follow up.
So far, round 4 feeling a lot like the previous 3 rounds in terms of the overall pacing for Los. Seem pretty comfortable with moving in at this rate. Now that they have this top floor control, that's when these hatches are going to start to pop open as well. Relying solely on the hard breaching potential that Cameraman has brought to the table here. It's not the most typical choice on a basement site where the Hibana is almost always picked in a situation like this. Instead, it's going to be the secondary can openers that Los are going to rely on. Just 2 of them. Both of them now placed and detonated. Just means that Los will have to be a bit more careful with exactly what position they commit to. They won't have many fallback options if something were to go awry. They set up the Osa shield down and Freezer, but Dots will take a little heat from that long angle by the Laundry rotate. Early progress again for Los. This is where Miners need to hold their ground.
You see, they're gonna need to reshuffle some positionings here. Levy's the only one with impacts. There goes the first one. As I say that, perfect timing for Levy. Destroys the shield at the bottom of the Laundry stairs and decapitates Dots. It's again the man with the diffuser, so Cameraman will have to pick it up in his stead. The air jab's being placed out, though, to try and prevent anyone from being able to rotate in through the Laundry rotates from Supply. Cameraman waiting to launch out those asphyxiating bolts. The flashbang's being caught by the magnets. Basetto could have been blinded by that, but we duck out just in time to not have to see it ourselves, taking damage and dealing with the shotgun. But Dash going crazy with the ARX, missed shots from Basetto, and now the flood into the freezer hallway. STK has his cover. Dash hits the floor, but here goes Maya, going absolutely nuclear, leaving Neskin alone as he's trying to push towards Freezer. The plant once again going down from Cameraman, and Maya, the Finka inside of Freezer, putting the team on his back.
Without question, Maya doing it all in the end there. It started with Dots. It started with the Nomad popping up and doing so much. Rather, it was Dash, I think, who got those two openers in that mid-round. But when he went down, Maya had to pick up the slack. And oh boy, did he ever. 3 kills in that round. 8-0 right now, I believe, for Maya. There it is, 8-0-2. Absolutely ridiculous to be 4 rounds in and to have that stat line boasting so far. It is all going Los's way, and Miners, that looked like their best defense yet, but Los still managed to pull that one out. I mean, we saw someone like Basetto, who was in a perfect position in Freezer. He had the shotgun for the close-range gunfight to deny the double swing, and he would have been able to do that had Dash not gotten 2 kills back-to-back over on that Laundry side and forced Basetto to turn his attention towards the back, right? It's those little things that when one player finds some success, someone else on the defense is going to have to turn their attention to you and try to deal with it. And Los, I mean, it's just like they have so many lethal weapons on this team right now, and they are clicking and melding in a way that Netshoes Miners just cannot seem to comprehend.
Oh, and for Miners, unfortunately, unsuccessful downstairs 3 times out of 4 rounds. Unsuccessful upstairs on their only attempt, so they will turn their attention towards the tertiary bomb site of Kitchen and Meaden. Try and grab some kind of momentum, grab some kind of traction in this match. As I did talk about it, Connor talked about it on the desk as well, a 7-0 the last time these two teams played on this map. I didn't think we'd be approaching similar territory, yet here we are with Los up 4-0 on the attacking side of Oregon, which statistically would not be the more favored side. Here the breach going up onto the generator wall from Closet. Impact's coming out from Levy. He's going to try and rotate in through Attic. This position to be held is going to be crucial for the defense to make sure there's no stage push coming. We've seen so much Osa coming out from the Los team on the attacking side. You would think it would be integral to this push, but no such. Osa coming out. Thatcher and the Ace and the Ash now. Big swap up in terms of operators for Los's attack, and seems like a swap up in the ideology as well. They seem to be avoiding as much of the roam topside as possible, and it's working out for them as Dots will get one Basetto on the swing, will headshot one and look for more, but as he rushes in to clean up his kill, he will be dropped. You're going to need a Finka Adrenal Surge here to revive Dash. Levy now trying to push his way down the tower stairs. He's got the Ace holding on the stage stairwell as well. He nearly has perfect purview, but there goes the swing again. Cameraman having a lights out, turn back the clock performance. And the revive still has not happened until just this moment. Dash will be revived by the Adrenal Surge. And a 4v3 turns into a 2v3. SDK playing close on meeting split though. Turns for 1, turns for 2, looking for all 3. Will leave Cameraman alone in the 1v2 with the diffuser surrendered just outside of split. You can see the swing about to come from STK. Should be hearing him drop off the stage, and Cameraman again trying to bait out a 1v1. Does not want to walk into the midst of crossfire. There's the first 1v1, but the secondary swing and the combination from Midi. They will hit the shot, and there goes Netshoes Miners getting their first round.
They finally get on the board, and they do it in explosive fashion. I mean, talk about a back and forth round. It started with Basetto hitting the play that it looked like could end the round for Los right there. Then Los managed to shut it down, and then it's going to have to be someone else from Miners to step up. It was STK who saved the day. It was him who put himself in the same corner that Seto was in earlier in the round. The same corner, the same position that gave Los trouble. I suppose they figured that there's no chance somebody else could be in that corner, right? So they failed to check it, and it got them into a lot of trouble. But oh boy, a scary one for both teams. Nearly slipped away from Miners there, as it felt like every engagement they took ended up going the way of Los. Just little things kept going Los's way, but Miners managed to pull it out with the big SDK play, and they take round 5. A chance to get out of this half with at least 2 rounds now staring them in the face.
Well, this is more of the performance we were expecting to see from Netshoes Miners, that resilience that we've seen all throughout the last chance qualifier so far, and seemingly a resurgence in the play of Neskin and Levy, and they certainly have been pulling their weight, and the rest of the team now showing the same kind of form. And for Los, we've already won the first half, but you really do want to put an exclamation point on it. Netshoes Miners are 0 for 1 upstairs, 0 for 3 downstairs. We'll take the slightly better odds of heading topside to try and close out the first half. I understand that from the Netshoes Miners perspective of downstairs has not gone well. This flood into the bomb site, we cannot repel it. It was a similar story upstairs. The collapse from the attic and through the generator breach from inside a closet, the impact tricking failing, and it looks like we're avoiding an impact trick this time, even though the same holes are put in place. Eskin, though, will be droned inside of meeting, so we've got a little bit more of a roam contingent to worry about here if we're on the side of Los. But their attacks so far really just have not seemed all that interested in going for a roam clear. They don't worry about maintaining as much of the map as possible. Just going direct to site. The Levy will start things off onto Loban from inside of attic.
Levy's so early the way he gets involved in these gunfights. 2 and 2 so far in terms of the entry duels. Hasn't worked in some moments, but something like this could be the exact ingredient that Miners were hoping to find in order to get themselves a second defensive win. We'll see. 90 seconds remain here, so this is about when Cameraman is going to look to open that closet wall. He's got those Selmas prepped and ready. Just waiting for the moment to strike, waiting for the support from Dots. He will get it. That wall will now be opened without interruption. This is where Dots is now going to find that Osa shield positioning. Only one remaining. Place it right in front of the breach, giving himself a nice angle onto that attic doorway. The question is, can STK manage to circumvent that? Can Neskin go for this flank? 2 positions that Los are going to have to get quite aware of here very soon. Midi down below as well. C4 could be thrown up through that breach. Los, they're going to need to get a move on soon, because all of these little positions that Miners are holding, it could be very powerful.
Yeah, you can see the problem with leaving those players downstairs. They can have a dastardly impact on the round. The Nitro Cell finally comes up from Midi. There goes the Kiba barriers blocking out aggression into the closet, and there goes SDK again, marching into action. It's like Dash taking damage from down below outside of the big window as well, and make it a flawless round for Netshoes Miners, as ignoring the roam doesn't pay off this time around for Los, and Netshoes Miners able to stack back-to-back rounds to end the first half.
Back-to-back rounds. They start to recover a little bit here. That one particularly decisive. Just about everything went their way. Not only with the gunfights, but just with the utility, their positioning. That time, they had it all. And had we seen that kind of defense from the start, I think this would be a very different ballgame.
Well, downstairs we go for Los, and we'll see if they can put on a clinic and demonstrate the performance that is typical downstairs on an Oregon defense. I think right now for Netshoes Miners, the task in front of them, while not impossible, does look difficult. Being able to also win an attacking half on Oregon. We call back to it a few times already, but I will mention probably a couple more times, to be honest. The 7-0, the last time these two teams played against each other on this map, just about a week and a half ago. Honestly, I think right now for Los, you're in the driver's seat and you have the opportunity to kind of play this one a little safe, but we saw it yesterday with Los' performance as well. against the Vivo Keydstars main roster that they are no stranger to taking a chance and getting aggressive early on the round to try and clamp things down early. We saw it work. We saw it not work for them as well in a handful of rounds that led them into some of those overtime maps. Levy's going to start things off with the Gara hook immediately into T3. He's going to have to contend with an Attic roam and the reinforcements. This is quite the roam clear coming out from Netshoes Miners to start things off, and the first obstacle appears to be Maya playing down by stage, with Dots supporting from the tower stairs. Seems like Levy is on his own on this portion of the clear. The rest of the Netshoes Miner attack is going for the clear elsewhere, and will clear Loban off the map immediately once again.
Maya's got to be real careful here. Doesn't want to let another kill go Miner's way. Playing this forward position as the Wamai, not the most typical thing ever, especially when he can find himself in a death trap here. But Cameraman, he's the one who springs the trap. He pops up on STK, just had no idea he was coming. That now sets Los up for a bit more success now that they've equalized. But still a good bit of work to do.
Oh, you can see Mitty now pushing his way in towards stage, having to contend with the potential flank up those tower stairs, and clearing out the attic hold was integral to this position for Netshoes Miners to be able to feel comfortable in holding down the meeting and be able to accomplish their goals of reaching towards the objective. The 4v4 here, we're stagnating a little bit. The mirrors will get popped open from up above the meeting hatch. But everyone for Netshoes Miners right now, they don't really have a clear objective at hand. A lot of stacking around the tower stairs, but nobody outside of blue right now, which facilitates very free and easy rotations through elbow, through blue. So much real estate being afforded to the defense of Los right now that there's no pressure being applied to them. They have freedom to roam, they have freedom to move, and this is looking like a very precarious situation for Netshoes Miners. Well, Levy, last man standing inside of the freezer, is trying to pull out a G8 and win this alone in the 1v3, but it will not happen. Dots will shut him down with the ITA on the Solus. Just like that, it's Los quickly with a 5-2 lead.
That's a good adjustment there in the end. It looked like for a moment Miners were going to pop in and take that, but Dots on the swing there took care of two really fast, and all of a sudden the hopes that Miners had started to build in that early round just began to fall to pieces. Again, it was a pretty well-timed push. They had a good bit of time remaining. They went into that execute with even man count. When it came down to it, it was Los who shut it down. And like you said, Flynn, 5-2 right now. They're sitting pretty, especially since they're on the defensive side. They have a lot of cushion to work with here.
Yeah, and I think for this meeting and kitchen defense to come out from Los after winning the first round downstairs, they're not feeling the heat, not feeling the pressure to immediately go topside, try and put this thing on match point. You can certainly do it here, and would also be a bit of a statement being made winning on the kitchen and dining defense, or the kitchen and meeting defense, sorry. This is what we saw from Netshoes Miners as well in terms of their ability to get back into the game. They were victorious on this site for their first round of the map and kind of set them on a course to be able to win upstairs as well. So Los going to replicate some of that magic here in the second half and ice this thing at a 7-2 scoreline. See Los lose 7-2 on Consulate yesterday in the semifinals and still come away with 2 overtime wins. I think for Netshoes Miners, they're also in a position where resilience is going to have to show up much earlier this time around. You do not want to be dropping the first map in this best of 3. So much on the line. The peaks coming out from the defensive Los from T3 as well. Open playing around the bottom of the laundry stairs as well. This is going to be very challenging for the attack to be able to entry into the building with how much aggression is being demonstrated by Los, trying to repel any such entry across the entirety of the map.
This is the play style that allowed Miners to get that opening kill in the previous round, but at the end of the day, it is something that can delay a ton of time off the clock, and just the way that Los have been playing this and the success they've had in every engagement, this is something that could quickly take this attack and make it, well, I would say, just pretty much nothing. Seto, he'll be able to collect one here, and Neskin at the same time will shut down Maya, and that is going to go a long way into making this Miners attack more successful. It certainly Gonna make them feel pretty good now, considering how much time they have remaining, how many bodies they have remaining. Doesn't really matter that they haven't dealt with dots just yet, because there are only 2 other bodies near to the site. Now, Midi has been taken care of, and Loben is looking to collect on another. Basetto nearly winning in that engagement, but both players so low right now. They're going to have to play together. Basetto feeling the pressure from both sides. Talk about an extension that refuses to give up any ground. Neskin will finally deal with cameraman. Loben will not stay alive much longer. Last is Dots. Again, the site pretty exposed right now, but Dots will work his way back into position to see what he can do against 3.
There's an attacker directly in front of him, and there was Neskin able to drop Dots, and again, a good response from cameraman, who seems to be turning back the clock with every passing game in this last chance qualifier, and yet it wasn't enough to propel Los to match point. They will lose downstairs on the main floor in meeting and kitchen, like you said, like very vacant off the bomb site, just leaving cameraman there alone to try and survive, and a lot of those aggressive plays, a lot of those swings off the bomb site, not turning out well for Los. They'll turn their attention topside to go upstairs, try and put us on match point. And again, after the completion of this round, regardless of if it's a win or a loss, they will be afforded the opportunity to head back down to the basement. Again, in a very good position right now for Los on the defensive side of Oregon. Try and close things out in a hurry. Don't waste too much time on your own map pick and send us off to border with a nice score line, not dropping too many rounds to Netshoes Miners.
Clearly indicative of the improvements that Miners have been making over the last few days. This is not the 7-0 that it once was. Netshoes Miners are putting up a fight here. And while it may have felt like this one was over 4 rounds in, it is a very different story that Miners, rather than being 4 rounds down, are only 2 rounds away from equalizing. And rather than having nothing on the board, well, they have 3 rounds over the last few. Much better place to be. And they're finally starting to win a couple of these engagements. You've got someone like Neskin, who's really been heating up, but really everyone, STK, Midi, Levy, everyone really finding their stride here. And Basetto, you could argue, not contributing a ton in terms of the sheer kills, but the 2 kills that he has found and the pressure and the support he's been able to provide here on the Hibana here, for example, definitely something worth talking about. See if they can make that work again. They're going to have to do a bit more themselves this time, though, of course, Flynn, because instead of having a very forward, in-your-face defense, Los have a bit of an extension down below, but not quite as heavy of one as last time.
This extension's getting collapsed on, though. Dash able to avoid the launch of the frag grenade, cut through Midi with the DMR, play ring around the Rosie of the kitchen island, and grab another one onto STK. The Roam was being pinched from either side, a contingent from Small Tower and Big Tower, both collapsing onto the kitchen Roam. Neither of them walk away. 5v3 advantage now and a 5-3 scoreline for Los on the top floor defense, where a lot of the damage has been done off the bomb site. Though as I say that, here come frag grenades flying up from the floorboards, and Dash is going to get re-engaged downstairs. Now pick and response onto cameraman. Levy will get one onto the bomb site, but here comes Dash. That DMR reigning supreme on the round. 3 so far, looking for even more. Levy's trapped inside a trophy, tries to fall off, but will fall at the hands of Maya. It's just Neskin remaining. Trying to work his way up the armory stairs with 3 to find. Dash still on the hunt with that MK14, and will turn the corner at the top of the stairs. A good reaction from Neskin will save his life momentarily, whipping out the frag grenade in response. As you can see, Dash, he might be overextending himself slightly, but he certainly doesn't think so. 4 on the round for Dash. A beautiful demonstration of the ability to roam downstairs and keep yourself alive. From Los, it's map point.
And I would say great roam overall, great extension, great teamwork, but I mean, that's giving them even too much credit. It was just Dash with 4. The man who could not be tracked down below, he just kept on tearing through that attack, and he did not give them an inch. Like you said, Flynn, a textbook bottom floor hold, and really just running and gunning and it working to perfection. I mean, at the end of the day, that will work sometimes. And if you're feeling yourself, if you're hitting those shots, you might as well just keep on rolling through. And we saw it after he found those 3. He was on the hunt for the 5. He wanted all of those kills. Maya eventually denied that by picking up the 4th out of the 5th kill, but Dash closed it out with a quad, and Miners just could not piece it all together. Funny, the round that Los run not quite heavy of an extension, they only put 2 players down below instead of, well, everyone trying to hunt down that attack. Ironically, it's the round where they do much better on the roam and do way more damage with it.
That just kind of shows you Dash's power downstairs, his ability to hold that position, because that was a nightmare of a situation. He did have cameraman for support over towards dining, but it really was just the Dash show inside of kitchen, able to thread the needle between the 2 opposing forces on either side of him, coming at him, the pinch. I thought it was a really well-designed attack from Netshoes Miners, being able to collapse towards kitchen through the green hall and small tower at the same time. Yet, where there's a will, there's a way, and Dash showing his maneuverability and so showing his elusiveness in that round. He'll look to do the same here to try and close out Oregon. Map number 1. This was Los's map pick. It's not quite the end of the world here for Netshoes Miners. Still are in a position to head to their map pick of Border up next, and should we need it, Chalet is the decider. We've seen a lot of Chalet gameplay coming out from Netshoes Miners in this last chance qualifier thus far. So if you're Netshoes Miners, you're not feeling too down on yourself, given the scoreline and given the performance of Los. You do need to kick into a little bit of a higher gear starting, if not now, starting on map number 2 of your map pick of Border.
Whatever they can do to get some momentum heading into that second map will be helpful regardless if they take the win here. Maybe 1 or 2 more rounds could serve to do exactly that. We know Border is aggressive, it's explosive, it's frag heavy. There are going to be a lot of early gunfights that these teams are going to have to take. If you can polish up that mechanical skill, if you can get warmed up, you can get ready to go, then hey, maybe Border's going to go your way regardless of how prepared you are to go to that territory in this LCQ final. We'll see. We will see. Los 1 round away, like we've said, from closing out this first map, doing it on a very defendable objective down below, and one that they won the first time that they took up this mantle. Candelas will come in the first round of pressure, now building for Miners as they turn their attention towards an early execute.
Oh my god, Dash with the M590 snipe, but everyone else on the team for Los dropping like flies. It's Dots and Cameraman to try and save the round. The plant going down right beside the laundry. Rotate, the plant gets completed, but Basetta will be down. In response, drops Cameraman, and another one will be felled momentarily by the 416. But STK has the cover from Freezer. Netshoes Miners pulling out another impressive attacking round, converting it into a victory on round number 10. They're forcing us to go a little bit deeper than we all thought it was going to be just a few rounds ago.
And yeah, we could see this one go all the way for sure if Miners can keep putting together rounds like that. Rounds that maybe don't start off the best, and then once they turn their eye towards the sight, they just kind of make it work. That one in particular, they did not dilly-dally, I suppose you could say. They didn't waste a single second. Once they saw that they had a chance to execute, they didn't feel like they had to wait until the obligatory last 20 seconds on the clock to make their push. They had done their job, they saw an opening, and so with about 50, even 60 seconds left, that's when they began to make the first move. They opened it up in Freezer, getting a nice long-range kill there, and that was their go sign. That was when they said, all right, let's execute. And they made the move and they made it work. Still 2 rounds to go to send overtime if we are going to see that, but a good round that is certainly going to bring some hope back to this team, and to anyone rooting for Miners, they are not out of this map just yet.
No, and we saw the Ying come out from Los on their attacks, and it didn't have as much impact in their attacking side as the Ying had for Netshoes Miners. They're collapsing to the bomb site, compounded with difficulty because of those Candelas, obscuring the vision of everyone on the bomb site. I haven't seen a complete turn here from Los. We did have a slight operator swap up. You've got Loban on the Warden, and you've got Cameraman on the Wamai, but no Jaeger coming out in response to be able to catch those Candelas. Again, the amount of burn that was being brought by Los on their attack could dissuade Lois from believing that they could bring enough ADSs and enough magnets to stop the amount of burn, but it really isn't on the side of Netshoes Miners. Just 3 stuns and 2 smokes that you're probably going to want to use, and Candela's being utilized, 2 of them. Inside of Big Tower, the entry into T1, there's nobody here. It's just a waste of utility to allow the entry, and Dot's waiting for the push, prone at the pillar entrance. No one will come away worse for wear in that engagement. Both sides missing some crucial shots there to find the opener. Again, on map point, on a knife's edge. These are the biggest stakes possible in this map so far, and Levy and Dots both swinging for the fences early.
Just trying to deliver that killing blow if they can. Won't happen just yet, though. As Miners still have a bit of freedom to work their way around this map and still have a good bit of progress to make. As you can see, Dots is picking up a good bit of information about what is happening above and where it is happening. But really no way to act on that information. The stairways, the flanks being kept a close watch on by this Miners attack. Someone like Levy can really just sit and watch that position while the rest of the team does the job elsewhere. They've got these hatches open, and the 60-second mark is approaching. This is when Miners made the move last time. Let's see if they're eager to do it again.
See a similar problem here for the Netshoes Miners. And there's the rotation to correct it, as they didn't have anyone outside of blue again, so Dots and Cameraman have had this freedom of mobility. Basetto taking damage as the Candelas ring out, but Basetto gets the first one onto Dash. The double drop down the box. Hatch in towards the E-box. The swing comes out from Cameraman. Loba takes in for 2. And Basetto's stuck inside of Harry Potter as he's being flamed off by his own asphyxiating bolt. There goes the swing from outside of blue. 2 quick ones with the P90, and now it's just Eskin alone in the 1v4. Dots will clean them all up, and Los will take map number 1.
It's Dots with 3 in the end, but a beautiful hold from Los and a surprise from Bunker that Miners were just not ready for. Delaying that position in Bunker is risky. They potentially allowed Pillar's control, site control, to get relinquished, but they decided to swing at the perfect moment and combined for all 4 of those final kills, shutting down Netshoes Miners in their tracks. A great way to start on map number 1. And it wasn't the 7-0 that they have delivered against this team before, Flynn, but a 7-4 is a strong start regardless.
Absolutely, and I think that 4-0 start on the attacking side is crucial to be able to continue that momentum and just kind of trade rounds back and forth as the map progressed. And I think for Netshoes Miners, again, another lesson in making sure that your attacking strategy is as fleshed out as it was on Skyscraper yesterday and in the day before in the quarterfinals of this LCQ. It seems like their strategies for Oregon attacks just seemed much more basic, much more shallow. There wasn't as much of a spread, and once they realized that mistake, they still didn't have quite the coordination necessary to pull it off in the end. So I think for Los, a great demonstration of their attacking proficiency on Oregon and their ability to close out the map without it getting too out of hand. Now we're heading towards Netshoes Miners' pick of border, though. Things can get a little more open, a little more frantic, and that might play into Netshoes' favor.
We'll see. Map 2 coming up after a quick break.
strong start from Los on Oregon, but also in general a strong start to the series, 7-4 to close this one out, and they're putting themselves in the driver's seat, CDAPS.
Yeah, and more impressively, Los just continuing to improve their attacking prowess. Once again, this first half, this was the side of improvement for both of these teams. Netshoes Miners' defenses improved drastically. Los One's attacks, they improved drastically as well through the open qualifiers, but it seems when they're pitted against each other just head-to-head, Los have a slight edge.
A slight edge indeed. I mean, 7 rounds in total, starting off 7-4 actually on that attacking side as well. Something that we were hoping to see, considering a 7-0 last time they played against Netshoes Miners. But it felt like Netshoes Miners has improved a little, but just their attacking sides, however, are not as punchy as we might have hoped for.
Yeah, punchy is very hard to get and accomplish on a map like Oregon, especially against a formidable defensive team like Los. But at the end of the day, taking away the entry engagements is definitely a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a 7-4 for Los, but still Netshoes Miners are in this competition. The next map that we're going to be looking at is from them. And even look at these statistics. You're absolutely correct. Entries going in their favor, the cost as well going in their favor. It's not the biggest difference in the world, but it's a good stepping stone for them to come back to and say, okay, we got what it takes. It's just a matter of getting onto a map that we're comfortable on. So when we're looking at both of these teams here, when we're going to be heading on to that next map, CDAPS, anything particularly from the side of Los that you think has really allowed them to excel at Oregon that will be transferable to Border?
I think how aggressive they were able to flip the switch on their attacks is something on a map like Border that's going to be required. When you had players like Dash going absolutely huge on the defensive side, those big hero plays on a map like Border are required. Maya, he started phenomenally, slowed down a little bit, but he started 9-0 on the attacking side of Oregon, and that is no easy stretch. That is a massive feat for him to accomplish. And on a map like Border, you could definitely make the argument that, hey, attacking is just a little bit easier and he could find even more success.
Oh, that's a scary situation to be in when you're looking at it from a Netshoes Miners perspective. It feels like, especially when we're looking at how they have shown up today, it's only been Neskin really that was able to get a couple of positive entries on there. So that hopefully could change going into that next map, because it will be Border and it's a map that they have picked, so hopefully that means also that they are the most comfortable on. But I think, again, when it comes to Netshoes Miners, we've continuously highlighted the fact that when they do well, everybody is doing well, and when they're not doing so hot, it's only one player or maybe none of them really that are having a great performance. So this could be that potential warm-up map that they need to get that off the ground.
Yeah, and I especially expect somebody like Bassetto to just really be hunkering down the bomb site on these Border defenses, and expect him to be a lot more involved in the fragging capabilities, because Netshoes Miners, they are comfortable on this map. So far, they've played it twice, technically twice. It was a 7-5 victory in the open qualifiers against MIBR, so a familiar tier 1 team as well. It was the unused decider against E1 that was not necessary, but once again, it indicates that Netshoes Miners are comfortable on this map. As we look towards Los, we have to go a little bit further back to see the last time they played this game. It was in stage 1 in the last chance qualifiers against X Supernovas, where they delivered a decisive 7-2 victory. And right before that, it was, however, a 4-7 loss against W7M in those stage 1 playoff deciders.
Could there potentially be the downfall here on that Border map from the side of Los? The fact that recent history does not favor Los simply because they haven't played it?
Yeah, it seems like they kind of stepped away from this map. They removed it from the pool. But if you look trajectory-wise for the region as a whole, it almost feels like nearly everybody in Brazil stepped away from this map. But hopefully with Los, sure, they might have a new IGL, but a lot of the principles that they showed in stage 1 should still carry over to Border. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be as drastic of a, oh my gosh, they don't play the map moment that we might be seeing.
All right, Oregon also being that first map that Netshoes Miners have lost in the LCQ, because all of their series so far have been 2-0. You think that could impact their start on Border, or maybe their entire performance on it?
It very well could, because we haven't seen Netshoes Miners bounce back quite yet. With Los, they have faced so much adversity, and they've just been able to bounce back against perceived stronger teams in comparison to Netshoes Miners. And now Netshoes Miners does have that opportunity to show us what they're made of. They can bounce back after a seemingly flawless run all the way through the open qualifiers and now here into the LCQ. It's time to really put your money where your mouth is and have you improved enough to beat a strong team like Los.
I love you bringing up putting your money where your mouth is, because yesterday you envisioned yourself sitting at home watching this incredible region. You know, you got your snacks, you got your drinks, you're waiting to see what team qualifies for the LCQ finals. But today you're sitting here looking at what team qualifies for the Atlanta Major, and you put 250,000 Twitch points on the Twitch Gamba. And somehow it worked out. So if you had to put your money where your mouth is for this map, by the way, another disclaimer, we do not take responsibility for your choices in chat, just putting it out there. Who would you put your money on for this map?
You know, I'd have to go for the juice. I'd have to hit another 250k on Los, as they're going to punch their ticket right now. We're going strong. We're going strong right into it.
How much did you end up actually making from that yesterday? How many
not
channel
that
points did you
much.
get?
Not much of a return.
No?
It was like a 1.3 return. It was a favorable overside, not really an upset.
Aw, okay. I think for a lot of people it could have been an upset, but then you convinced them otherwise. So I think you might convince people otherwise again, but I think for the second time here, we're putting out a disclaimer. You cannot come for CDAPs if the prediction doesn't go your way. But I think Los are definitely in a stronger position. We've kind of already highlighted the fact that they have been performing really well during this LCQ. For me, I'm not too sure if this is the map where they're going to be punching their ticket to Atlanta, simply due to the fact that in recent history, we haven't really seen much from Los on this map. And I don't know what to expect. There are so many question marks when it comes to this roster, and they've proven a lot of us wrong throughout this entirety of the LCQ, but I don't know, I feel like something might be missing here.
I don't think anything's missing, because at the end of the day, whenever we've had questions about Los, they've answered it and proven that they can do it. It's just one of those things that they've merged together as a roster quite well. Cameraman's leading the helms, and he's going to lead them back to Atlanta.
All right, let's see whether or not Atlanta will be punched straight away on this border by Los, as we're going to be heading into action with our casters. We've got Jonah and Flynn ready to cover it all.
Thank you, Ginny. Moments away from getting into map 2, and maybe this will be the map where Los can close it out, and they are going to be able to tell us if they will join FaZe, W7M, and NIP, of course, as that final team going to the major. Could be Los, but if Netshoes Miners have anything to say about it, we are going to go to that third map. Flynn, what do you think?
Well, jumping in for border. Map number 2. Like I said, this is Netshoes Miners' pick. They did not have Skyscraper available to them, as it was one of the first 4 bans out in the ban phase. So, border not being as staunchly defender-sided, but definitely a lot more frantic and a lot more open. And I think that actually plays into Netshoes Miners' playstyle pretty well. I think this is a smart second pickup, and if Skyscraper wasn't available. And like I said, we've seen them play on Chalet quite a lot through this LCQ. I think as long as you can tough this one out on border, which is your own map pick, I'd say Chalet looks pretty promising for Netshoes Miners as that decider. You have it as a bit of a safety net, but to get there, you do have to get through border. I think the way that Los have looked on their attacking side, the improvement that Connor talked about on the desk as well, that they've made. They've had one of the best defensive ratings so far throughout the LCQ, and just improving that attack makes them even more lethal of a team. So we'll need to see that same level of improvement and that same level of leveling up here from Netshoes Miners on border to try and keep in tow with Los, send us to map number 3, and prevent Los, as Connor said, from punching their ticket to Atlanta.
Thinking about border in comparison to what we saw at the end of Oregon is where I also think Netshoes Miners have a little more hope than I think CDAPs may have represented. I think first half of Oregon, Los were dominant in every aspect of the game. Everything across the board, Los was winning. It was the entries, it was the late round engagements, it was the utility game, it was the time, it was their strategy. It was all going well. But in the second half, while Los did come away with the victory, Netshoes Miners picked it up in a big way. And it went from being so one-sided in terms of the entry game to 6-5, favoring Netshoes Miners by the end of the map. Now, entry isn't the end-all be-all of Siege, we know it. But we also know how important it can be on a map like this. And if Miners can keep riding that high that they had at the back half of Oregon, their success in the early round, I'm not saying border is a done deal, but I'm saying they are going to have a decent chance at coming out swinging here, especially on the attacking side, where they can set the pace, set the rhythm, get in quick, and make their presence felt.
Absolutely. I think this is the perfect test for it to start things off with. Netshoes on the attack and Los on the defense. I mean, this is both teams on their favored side statistically throughout the entirety of the LCQ and the qualifiers, so I think right now that this is shaping up for some fireworks early on, and I think it really does come down to those entries like you talked about, Jonah. The ability for Levy and Neskin to be able to be the difference makers and the round starters every round is going to be integral for Netshoes Miners to be able to prolong this to a map number 3. And like we talked about on Oregon as well, maybe it was Levy and Neskin starting rounds off hot, but the rest of the team unable to follow suit. This is going to need to be an entire team performance led by Neskin and Levy, but everyone needs to be contributing, be able to be at their best to push this to Chalet, give themselves a chance here as they've dropped the first map, get to Atlanta.
Waiting game, what we're seeing early from Miners, instead of that early explosiveness we maybe anticipated. Little mute bug, of course, making things a bit harder to see for the moment. But we did see a moment ago, STK waiting down below on the Nook, doing what the Nook does best. You have those frag grenades in pocket. Not only can you creep on in below and set yourself up for a surprise kill or two, but those frag grenades sent up to the ceiling above you can wreak havoc on any defender silly enough to sit on a soft floor. In its border, almost everything is destructible, so someone like Cameraman, who's now feeling the pressure here, needs to be quite cautious where he moves next. Maya striking first, but a quick trade from STK as Dash is finished off means that we stay even in this 4v4 as we cross that 60-second mark.
Oh, there's the rappel in, but Loven will lose the fight, but he's the doc, so he's able to heal himself back up, but there go the nades from underneath. STK winning the engagement downstairs. Levy as well with the hard-hitting para 308. Eskin's taking a lot of damage in these engagements, but now it's just Maya and Dots to try and survive out for Los on their first defensive round. Maya looking for anyone on the entry from top east, but holding the flanks at the top of 90. Dots, the last man standing, grabs one into STK, but chewed up through the wall from Levy. And that is Netshoes Miners taking their first attacking round on board.
They may have started slow, they may have started patient, but the moment those first few kills were found, it turned from 0 to 60 in just a matter of seconds. A flurry of kills found for Miners, and they just rolled through that defense with ease. Big play from Levy. That was the key, working their way into CCTV, dealing with Loben, dealing with that position, getting the support from the nade down below, but then taking that opportunity to step in, deal with those two players on the rotate. Had that rotate between CCTV and Fountain, thankfully set up by the defense. Convenient for them, but also got them into a little bit of trouble. They just were not paying enough attention to that and didn't realize that the Brava had stepped in and done that much damage. So a good first attack to set the tone here on Border.
Seeing quite the operator lineup change here as we're dropping the Yana, we're bringing out the Gridlock. Nope, we're not bringing out the Gridlock. We're bringing out the Nomad. We've dropped the Nook. We've dropped the Yana. This is a very, very different lineup. We dropped the Brava as well on the attacking side. So Netshoes Miners, once again, we saw it was about 14 unique operators played on either side for both of these teams on Oregon. Imagine that carousel is going to get a little bit longer of a list here on Border as well, as there's so much flexibility on this map. It's basically just a giant cardboard box with a bunch of inserts in it that can make just about any operator combo work. Seeing that here. No hard breach coming out on the side of Netshoes Miners on the attack, as this attack towards the downstairs bathroom and Teller's bomb site doesn't really require hard breach at utility much at all. Entrance into CCTV took a long time around last round. Los doing a good job of prolonging the advancement from Netshoes Miners in terms of their entry into CC. In that final minute, like you said, Jonah, the collapse and the execution all came at once, and it all came in very strong for Netshoes Miners. Very successfully at that. Dash is able to get the first one onto Levy, as I was very concerned that was Loben's, but no, Maya as well jumping in onto Basetto. Midi will make his entry into Archives, looking towards the small office, but will miss the evacuation of Cameraman. A good start for Los.
Yeah, they get on the board first, and they also do that damage twofold with both Levy and Basetto. Double Nitro Cell goes up and sends Midi and SDK sky high as well. Neskin just hoping to deny the flawless, hoping that maybe someone can be found over on top east, gets the down but cannot get the finish. It's Dash to close it out, and it is Los with all 5, a flawless here in round 2.
Well, you want a good response to losing the first round pretty handedly? I don't think you can do much better than a flawless round. Quite the roam topside. They take what they can get. They stand at a 5v3 and they all say, okay, this is a bathroom teller's defense, and we've gotten 2 picks by Armory and CCTV. Let's get the hell out. Let's get downstairs and spread out horizontally. Just waste even more time. And then Cameraman with a massive double nitro cell on the Armory floor, just eviscerating the attacking contingent of Netshoes Miners. And like you said, cleaning up over on top of the new balcony. Flawless round in response for Los. And now heading to Vent Workshop. Not looking to run back Armory Archives as of yet. We've seen quite a handful of very interesting bomb sites being brought out in this LCQ. We saw a bedroom defense coming out on Skyscraper yesterday. Seeing the possibility of a customs and supply defense here on the border. It has its potential. We shall see if it gets used in some desperation moments from either side, as it has been brought out a couple times in other LCQs as well. Certainly not the most favorable bomb site, but possibility remains that Los may have been discouraged by their ability to hold on to Armory and Archives, and they may be dissuaded from running that back anytime soon. Mirror Window's coming out, though. Try and support the CCTV hold, as it seems like Maya is getting into the action early, taking some damage on that Legion. Los, we've said this before, they are in a position to kind of take it on cruise control and try and post to the finish line to get to Atlanta. That is just not their style.
Some information here quite available for miners, as you can see. However, this drone count starting to dwindle. Only 4 drones remaining for the attack. Only 45 seconds into the round. That is an unusually few number of drones, and that's going to get them into trouble just like that. Even though there was a drone on Loban's position, he's still able to step up, take care of Neskin, and shut down the Yana nice and early. Dash able to do the same thing, taking care of the Lion. Goes for 2 as STK will fall as well. And Miners crumbling here in round number 3 as well. Where did that round 1 success go? That's 8 kills now unanswered. They need to be careful because Loban may just strike once again, missing the fatal blow onto Midi. But an impact perfectly timed. There goes the Ash. Finally, Basetto will get on the board and Miners will find a single kill over the course of the last 2 rounds. A second kill now for Basetto, but it'll have to be a 1v3 miracle if Miners want to get on the board here with the second round.
Basetto, we've seen a pair of 308 pull off quite the nasty 1v2 on Skyscraper yesterday in the semifinals. A Nitro Cell goes out, I imagine just to afford some visibility. Seeing all the shotgun holes come out as they're just playing from above, knowing that there's not really anywhere on the bomb site that Basetto can walk in and get a plant down without having to deal with some coverage from above. All 3 defenders playing topside off the bomb site itself. Basetto waiting for someone to swing a little wide, overexpose themselves. Smoke grenade goes directly up the Archives hatch, and the plant will be initiated by Basetto. Here come 2 defenders flooding down, but as he pulls off, Cameraman once again. An X factor for this team on the side of Los, and it's back-to-back rounds for this team.
Back-to-back decisive rounds for this Los team. Armory Archives didn't work too well, but Bathroom Tellers, Vents Workshop, no problem at all. Maybe because CCTV wasn't the crux of the entire defense? Hard to say, because they still have been playing in that position, and they've been finding so much success in that position ever since that very first round. Sure, they got themselves into a little bit of mess in round number 1, and Loban on the dock could not survive in that position for too long. But since then, Los have been comfortable. They've been thriving up top, and Miners have not been able to push through.
I think for that round for Netshoes Miners, again, running into the difficulties of those runouts topside, the response to that, the IGL mid-round call was, okay, hit site directly. Just going off the dead bodies that were strewn across ventilation and workshop. at the end there. Those 2 quick picks that dropped it from the 5v3 to the 5v1. It seemed like there were 2 members of the attacking side who just said, okay, screw it. Basetto was close behind with the diffuser. So he could have been the 3rd member and possibly a difference maker on that flood into the bomb site. But it doesn't seem like it's the aversion strategy is going as well here on Border as it did on Oregon for these teams on the attacking side. Both of them employing a bit of an ignore strategy towards the roaming contingents, not opting to go for the full clear. On Border, it doesn't really work out because, again, it's a cardboard box with a bunch of inserts. There's so much soft destruction and verticality, like we just saw there, and Dash is going to start things off. And on a run out, the aggression coming out from Los. And again, if you instigate it, there's just so much soft destruction. If you try to rush towards site, all 3 defenders remaining in the previous round, they just play the objective from above. They didn't have to be on the bomb site. The vault in from Loban as well. Unsuccessful. So here we go. Los starting to get a snowball rolling.
And Neskin now desperate to find something here, try to get this one back in Miner's favor, but it's just going to be so difficult with the aggression that Los are showing that they can maintain, and, well, the information that they've got at their fingertips. Speaking of, it looks like Miners have some information of their own. Well-placed nade will change the game here, but yet another run out from Maya will bring things right back in Los's favor. It is still a Los round through and through. Midi and STK need to find a way to pull this one off, but even 90 seconds, 2 against 4 here on Border, this is going to take quite the clutch. Midi alone, STK isolated down below. They're going to have to try to isolate a couple of these 1v1 engagements, maybe get something done with the explosive power that Midi has in pocket. I mean, it's hard to say. Both STK, his nades are gone. They're going to have to do this one the old-fashioned way, and now that they group up, they might be able to take a 2v1 engagement, but they just might walk into a crossfire here. There goes Midi. Bullets from both sides will connect. It is just the Nook that remains. STK staring down the hallway, but Maya takes the heads-up gunfight and wins it anyway. It is Los with another dominant performance.
I think this is just the response from Los from round number 1. They saw how much sitting and waiting they were doing in response to Netshoes Miners just being allowed to sit outside of CCTV for so long. Nearly 2 minutes they sat outside on the balcony, and there was only 1 run out from the dock of Loban in that first round. He got down and then finished off by the nade from underneath, and that was really it. That was the only run out potential that Los brought in that first round, and it cost them the round. So now the adaptation is for Los for the last 3 rounds in a row is do not let them sit in place. Do not let them establish a position of power, get in their face as much as possible. And honestly, it's catching them off guard so much. We've seen so many runouts from the top of East Stairs that you would imagine there would be some sort of focus or some sort of drone in place to be able to provide that intel. And yet a lot of runouts for free from the break door, from top East, and from the CC doorway. That's a harder one to get some intel on. But the other two, it's just common. It's round after round after round that there's a run out coming. It seems like Netshoes Miners unable to find the antidote to their solution or to their problem, which is sitting out on top of that CCTV balcony towards top East, towards the break room door, and towards the CCTV window for minutes on end. They need to hurry up the pace here and respond to Los's aggression. This is going to get out of hand very quickly. They do need to win this map just to get us to Chalet.
And their backs are against the wall here on map 2. This is not optional for them. If they want a chance to go to the major, not only do Miners need to win this second map, but they need to go to map 3 and come out swinging there too. That's what happens when you lose the first map in a best of 3. You just do not have as much freedom, as much flexibility as a team like Los. And clearly, a team like Los thrives when they know they can play a little loose, when they can play a little comfortable. They're going for aggressive, high-risk, high-reward runouts. And yes, it's working. Those risks are paying off. Would we see them go for the same plays, though, if they were trapped in a corner and they needed to win? Hard to say. It is Border, after all, and this is a map that does lean itself into that play style, but Los clearly playing it well, and it's working wonders at this point.
Well, Elias going to go for the run out, as he has for the last 3 rounds in a row, and on the 4th time, Basetto will shut him down. So a good start here in response, and another good start. Here we go. Netshoes able to predict, anticipate, and punish. Los for the runouts. Start things off with a 2-man advantage within the first minute. Have to worry about cameraman next inside of break room. Heavy about to make his entrance, and instead thinks twice of it. Drone will spot cameraman, the nitro cell at the door frame. Levy well read once again. Everyone on Netshoes Miners anticipating the actions of Los, reading them like a book. It's providing the opportunity for Netshoes Miners to get back into this game in a hurry.
This happens with time. As Los keep bringing out this aggression, they're going to get predictable. And Miners finally showing that they are getting a bead on Los's plan. Cameraman tried to step up. Neskin said absolutely not. The long-range fight with the SMG-11 for Dash, that is not going to pay off either. Dropping away to the, I would say, safety of the site, but it's not safe anymore. Here comes Miners. They are pushing into this site. Dash gets lit up, but is still alive, winning that first fight with the Ash. But now relocating himself, moving around to the other side. Maybe hoping to find an opening on the flank, but with 4 bodies up against 2, Miners can dedicate somebody to watching the metal stairs permanently. At least you'd think. STK, he's the one around the corner, and he will silence Dash for good. Lobin, the last player remaining, gets taken care of through the wall. Great adjustments there from Miners. Their 2nd round on border secured.
Man, it's quite the run of form there for Los. 3 consecutive rounds, so much aggression, so much success on runouts and early round picks, and yet, Netshoes Miners, like I said, they read it. Able to anticipate, able to react, and able to punish Los for those aggressive plays, those overreaches, and now, Netshoes Miners, off the back of a very strong round themselves, have the opportunity to tie the half. Things were getting a little out of hand. Los was starting to go on a run and build some momentum. Just like that, it's Netshoes Miners back in the ball game, looking like they can compete, be able to push this to a 3-3 half, which would be the most standard anticipated scoreline on border. This seems like this is the way this game is going to go. There's going to be teams going on runs for a bit, and the team that has lost a couple rounds in a row is going to have to respond. Unfortunately, that has been Netshoes Miners for the majority of this game, getting snowballed upon and having to respond. We'll see if they can get off to a bit of a run here and garner some lead in map number 2. This is their map pick, it should be noted. Los, with their improvements on the attacking side that we saw on Oregon in map number 1 in this series, it does draw some concern that if Los are able to win this half 4-2, they could be in a very good position to, again, kind of dial things back, just trade out rounds back and forth, walk away with the 2-0 victory, and send themselves to Atlanta. Netshoes Miners really do not want to let this last round onto Ventilation and Workshop get away from them, and as I say that, as I underscore the necessity of this round, Levy will be the first one to fall, a swing downstairs out of the supply window.
How is this still happening? It's the same strategy again and again, and last round, Miners could deal with it, but after a little bit of success, they decide to let things slip, and Dash is able to take advantage of an opening, getting the kill onto the Lion. Certainly going to do no favors for Miners' hopes in this round. STK looking to put the team on his back. An early entry here in Archives. Maybe a chance, but Lobin straight up denies it. Really good awareness there. The beauty of the Solus coming into play again. Knew exactly what was happening and knew exactly how to shut it down.
Yeah, you could see the knock invisibility cloak was on as soon as he entered into Archives, and SDK stood no chance. The immediate pre-fire from Lobin, having identified the positioning of the knock inside of Archives. Lots of Legion mines getting hit now as well, as that is one problem for bringing out the IQ. Basetto is unable to see the electronics because there aren't any electronics now in the IQ or in the goo mines. Churn across the map without any way to detect them other than physically seeing them or with a drone. Still on a 2-man disadvantage here for the attacking side of Netshoes Miners. Lobin's pretty low on health, but he does have support from Cameraman over inside of Office. And should remind you, this is a Ventilation and Workshop defense. 2 minutes of this round have been solely focused just trying to gain entry into the top floor. They haven't really even done that above the bomb site itself. Armory's still on complete lockdown.
They're refusing to give up this top floor control. And again, if they can maintain it, and they have the right holes in the right place to deal with this, I mean, Miners, they will have to take this control as soon as they can. Midi knows this. Steps up. Neskin joins him. Maya does put up a bit of a fight. Oh, and from the other side, it's Cameraman 2. Basetto thought he saw an opening, but got denied, leaving Midi alone in a 1v3. 20 seconds, not even on the right floor of the map. Not looking like a winnable round, to say the least. He'll drop down. Diffuser out of pocket, needs to find the kills. And these defenders are staying just passive enough that it will not matter. Dash will make sure to find the kill to end the round. And in doing so, ending the half for Los, 4-2 at the switch.
So an early swing, an early peak starts things off for Los, and then everyone kind of quiets down. Backs off a little bit. SDK reveals himself in the depths of archives and gets pre-fired by the Solus. Unfortunate coalescence of operator utility there for SDK on the knock. Again, a 5v3 advantage. Your ability to trade that out to a 3v1 and a 3v0. You're in a good position. And like I said, for Los as well, at a 4-2 scoreline, you could trade rounds back and forth for the rest of this map. You'll walk away with a 7-5 victory. So right now, this is still looking very good for Los. And I choose Miners onto the defensive side now. This hasn't been their favored side, but the good news is Los's statistics, outside of this series specifically, they have not been the best attacking team in this last chance qualifier. There's still an opportunity here for NetShoes Miners to expose one of Los's weaknesses throughout this LCQ, turn it into an advantage for them, and get us to Chalet. But Los, very sneakily, 3 rounds away from Atlanta as it stands. Like I said, if you just trade rounds back and forth, you're ending at a 7-5. It's not going to be enough. You need to see the initiative coming out from NetShoes Miners, even when they're playing on the defense.
That's something that Los clearly showed us on their defense, that initiative, that desire to be the first ones to spring up and get the kill and do that early damage. But like you said, Flynn, Miners are going to have to show us the same thing. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt we're going to see that aggression. I mean, someone like Neskin, who is very successful in the entries, typically, at least throughout the LCQ as a whole, right? He's got the T5, he's got the weapon, he's got the mobility he needs to thrive here. Does he have the support from his team? That'll be the question. Is Midi in a position with that stim pistol to heal Neskin up if he works his way back into the building? Oh my! Lobin taking care of Neskin just like that. And so much for that aggression up top. Instead, maybe STK can do something down below. He has been spotted, though. And he will have to be careful because Los, this pressure, it's overwhelming.
And SDK fighting his demons downstairs. Can't find a target to hit, but shooting a lot of air. Unfortunately for him and the rest of his squad, they have all dropped across the map. 2v4 now for Midi and Basetto, as I believe it was Basetto who at least got one in this round to fight back. Man, couple of 3 armors. You still got 3 stim pistol shots on Doc's, on the Midi's stim pistol. So there is an opportunity here to take an engagement, lose some health, heal back up, jump into a new engagement. Run out coming out, and like I said, there's the first one. Loses some health, but drops Lobin. The plant going down, though, from Dots. Inside of Archives, there goes the Nitro Cell, and it'll miss. It'll destroy the Osa shield, but the vault onto the desk unsuccessful. Midi recollapsing onto the bomb site will drop Dots, but the plant was successful, and you got Grim Bees hanging around as well from Cameraman. Well, identify the location of Midi as he rushes his way back into Archives, constantly searching for the member inside of Office. The turn to the corner towards Radio Window, and he will be downed and finished off. Dash will close things out, and it's the first round going in the favor of Los in the second half. 2 rounds away now from Atlanta.
NetShoes Miners did put up a bit of a fight there in the end and brought it back to nearly even by the time that diffuser went down, and had that Nitro Cell connected, had that shot on towards that, well, that Archives window landed, it would have been a very different story, but Los had established such a nice advantage. 3 kills right off the bat that Miners didn't have an answer for. And that is exactly how Border should be played on the attack. Just relentless pressure that even a powerful defense that fights their way back cannot fight their way all the way back. So 5-2. Netshoes Miners forced to pivot here. We're not going to see Armory and Archives again for now. It'll be Bathroom Tellers, their next site of choice, looking to rely on that top floor control, as you can see here.
Yeah, I think for Netshoes Miners, just employing a little bit of what we saw from Los on their defense. They lost the first round Armory Archives, and they were able to send 3 rounds in a row, starting with a Bathroom Tellers defense that was their first success on the map. So, Netshoes Miners, they dropped the first round on Armory and Archives with a lot of deaths across the map that didn't really involve much of the bomb site. Very similar story to what we saw in round number 1 for Los. Possibility still remains here for Netshoes Miners to replicate a lot of what we saw from Los in the first half. It's, again, we're just running out of time for Netshoes Miners to show a similar kind of presence, a similar kind of desire, a similar kind of ability in this series. Only 2 rounds away, 2 mistakes away from losing your opportunity, losing out in the grand finals of the LCQ. Come so close and yet still be so far away would be heartbreaking for a team that has had such a miraculous turnaround so far from their group stage play to how they've played in the last few days in this last chance qualifier. And a marvel to see. It might just not end up being enough as Los look to be in the driver's seat, look to be well in control of this series. It is going to take another evolution for Netshoes Miners to get on their level.
Midi, the first one to go down here, actually. Is that another nade from below? Could have been Lobin from outside the window throwing that one in long range. Midi will be recovered, so not the biggest deal at the end of the day, but low HP for the remainder of this one, and a great shot from Dots onto Levy. That'll make things even worse for the hopes of Miners here. They've got some info to work with. They have a mirror window to play off of, but they're losing bodies left and right. Maya, Lobin for 2. SDK, the last player standing in a 1v5, trying to keep Miners in this fight, but for how much longer? Not much more, at least in round number 8. A flawless round for Los. They are ready to put this series away.
Match point and series point for Los. Atlanta point. And they've got a lot of opportunities now, a lot of wiggle room to make some mistakes, like we saw in Oregon, get off to that big lead, let Netshoes Miners back in a little bit because you have the buffer room, and then close it out. A flawless round at that as well for Los to try and put an exclamation point on this. And I said we were running out of time to see the Netshoes Miners we've seen in the quarters and semifinals of this last chance qualifier. Well, we're sure as hell out of time now, boys. It's now or never, it's do or die on the precipice of being knocked out with only winning 6 rounds across 2 maps in the last chance qualifier finals. Los, similar to what Netshoes Miners have done. Los's group stage performance was also not the most impressive, but it seems like this is a return to form from what we can expect from Los based on their entirety of 2023. The calendar year, their SI performance, narrowly missing out on Copenhagen. Now here in the LCQ finals for the Stage 2 major and to go to Atlanta. This is more the Los we expected to see in group stage. They have turned it around since then in this LCQ. Just like Netshoes Miners, it's nice to see for Netshoes Miners. Backs against the wall time. There's no more mistakes to be made. This is the moment where you have to start clutching up and take it 1 round at a time, all the way to overtime.
Well, no better time to find your stride. I mean, as you head potentially into the Atlanta Major, talk about the time where you want to feel your rhythm, where you want to finally get into that headspace, that winning mindset that we clearly see that Los have right now. Things are clicking for them. And they are very close to putting this one away. Netshoes Miners, we know they've got something on the defensive side. We've seen it before, but here on Border, it just doesn't seem to exist. It's nowhere to be found because once again, Los will strike first on the attack. Baseto is the first to fall. There are just 4 defenders remaining to try to hold off this onslaught that Los have been sending their way. Neskin is getting lit up. The information game from Los is there. Maya pinpointing another defender, but cannot get the job done. Neskin lit up, still alive, but their chances continuing to look slimmer and slimmer by the minute.
Neskin, all it takes is one of those shots from the cameras to be able to put him on the floor. Trying to get back and get healed up from Midian. He will. So now the health advantage slowly swings back into the favor of Netshoes Miners. There goes the Adrenal Surge. We're going back and forth with the healing again. The swing from Midi devastating outside of the CCTV door, but the pushing down below from Loban, the Fink LMG. Only good for one as they healed up Neskin, but Cameraman swings into action. Down to the 2v2. Levy and Neskin, the two heroes from Team 1 back in Mexico City to try and prolong this series, but it doesn't appear to be happening as Levy gets decapitated by the Bearing 9. The plant is going down from Dots. It's just Neskin alone trying to play off the intel from that bulletproof camera, swinging towards the half wall, but it won't matter! The supernova from Dots will send Los to Atlanta!
NIP, FaZe Clan, W7M, and now Los. Guaranteed as your 4 Brazilian teams representing the region at the Atlanta Major in just a few weeks' time. You see it, everyone ecstatic that they have made it to this far, and they will get a chance to compete on the international stage against the best in the world. And they'll have a chance to fight it out there. I mean, you just see the pure happiness on their faces. You know how hard they worked for this. They had to take care of what, Black Dragons. They had to take care, or whether it was Team Liquid for Los that they took down. Then it was Key Stars. They took them down too. They took down 2 favored teams to get to this point. Matches that they probably had no business winning, but they went ahead, won anyway, and now earned themselves a ticket to Atlanta. Wouldn't have it any other way, Flynn. They've earned this spot through and through.
And I think for me, you know, we talked about Los, or at least I've talked plenty about Los's year, their entire year of 2023, their performance just missing out on the main stage at SI, being exactly 1 round on map number 3 against NIP away from qualifying for Copenhagen, now going through the LCQ, but it was a roster change in the offseason, dropping Rise and picking up Cameraman. And boy, Cameraman had a tough day against Liquid. His first day in the quarterfinals was not one to remember, but his performance in the semifinals and in the grand finals, he's been a standout player. I think this is him rolling back the clock and showing that, you know, some of these OGs in Siege, they can still hang with the best of the best. It's been a lot of fun to see Cameraman back on that resurgence.
Well, that will do it for the final match we see in this Brazil region, this stage. If you want to see more Brazilian action, you're going to have to tune into the major or head to Atlanta yourself for the final time for the stage. We're going to send it back to Ginny and CDAPS to break this one down a little further and maybe get these major pools sorted out as well. We'll send it to them.
Oof, that is a lot of responsibilities on our shoulders, but we will do so indeed. CDAPS, Los are the 4th Brazil team to qualify for the Atlanta Major. You said yourself, you know, Border is going to be the map where they punched their ticket to Atlanta, and guess what? You were surprisingly right.
Yeah, I hit my 250K in stride because I was a believer in Los, and man, oh man, did they just continue to look good on the defensive side on a map like Border. It's not the easiest thing in the world. You have to make big plays, and the big players on the side of Los definitely did that.
Yeah, they absolutely come out swinging. And I think we had a couple of questions considering, well, at least I had some, considering the fact that we haven't really seen Los play this map, particularly in the last couple of months. So I was a little bit worried, but guess what? I was put right into my place. This was an even better performance than Oregon, which was the map that they've picked. And by any means, this could have been just that ace up their sleeve that they were waiting to pull out at the right moment. And so they have done. 8 entries compared to 76% cost, 39 kills. What an absolute blowout of a series from the side of Los to be closing things out and securing their faith in Atlanta.
Yeah, and especially when you mentioned that, you know, Los, they haven't played this map this stage. They were definitely prepared. You aren't going for crazy runouts and confident plays on your roam game if you don't have any map experience on you. We saw the Solus runouts, finding where the claymores were, seeing if somebody was on drones, flying out that window, taking kills over and over again. And Netshoes Miners were just unable to adapt to constantly having a man disadvantage on the side of every single round except one singular
Yeah.
time. Sure, I had a prediction as well that Baseto inside of the bomb site would step up just a little bit more on their defensive side, but it just wasn't enough. You saw so many times that Los on their attacks were just so lethal in how they cut up the map. There were no safe positions to play in for any of the Netshoes Miners defenders, and it was just a slaughter. It was fish in a barrel.
It was indeed, and the last stats from the last couple of games put together of this 2-0 for the best of 3 from the side of Los even further highlights how one-sided and how dominant this was. Cameraman coming out as the MVP. As an IGL, I want to say that is pretty impressive, so hats off to Cameraman. Feels like the entire roster over the last week has just absolutely flipped on its head in a very, very positive way. So I'm excited what they're going to be doing with the next 2 weeks off before the start of the Atlanta Major. I'm really looking forward to see this improvement continue, because if this is the trajectory that they're on, the international stage is not ready.
Yeah, the international stage was not ready for NIP last stage, as it's almost a mirror of what happened with Los. They had a rough group stage. They came in the LCQ. They redefined themselves. They looked so incredibly confident. And last stage, NIP made it to playoffs. They looked so incredibly good. And I expect almost the same thing out of Los.
Absolutely, and just a reminder of how they've gotten here. They started off with a 2-0 against Liquid, then a 2-1 against Vivo Keyd Stars yesterday, winning both of their maps in OT, getting 7-2 actually on Vivo Keyd Stars map, but that did not put them back. If anything, that gave them the motivation to keep going and go harder at that, closing it out today in a 2-0 fashion against Netshoes Miners, closing out both Oregon and Border in a dominant fashion.
Especially when Netshoes Miners in the regular stage, they did get the better of Los during the group game. It was a close 7-5 game on Nighthaven Labs, but at the end of the day, that map was not played against today, and it almost feels like the same teams were not playing. For Netshoes Miners, once again, their improvement was also drastic, but just not as drastic as what we saw with Los. As they proved they were the better team, they improved more, and they have definitely earned that Atlanta spot.
Absolutely. And to Atlanta, they will go alongside every other team that has qualified. They are the final one that was needed, that last Infinity Stone to be collected. And now with them locked in and loaded, it means that we can get to drawing some of the groups, which I am really excited about myself. Now, myself and C-Dubs are going to be walking you through it here on the English channel, but the Brazil stream will be covering it and they'll be doing all the action. So please don't blame us. We are just the messengers for anything that happens. Don't shoot us. We're going to take a little bit of a break and we'll be back with the group draw. So you don't want to miss this. Nobody wants to miss this. This is the most exciting part of today. So we'll be back in a little bit. Get some drinks, get some snacks, because we'll be waiting. All right, we're back for the draw show, the most exciting part of today's broadcast, if I do say so myself. I'm gonna put on my glasses so that I actually look smart and like people will take me seriously. I know that doesn't happen often, especially if you meet me IRL, considering my height. But we're not gonna talk about that. CDAPS, would you take me seriously if I did the draw show now?
You know, I wish you told me because I would have ran across the house and gotten my glasses too, but now I just feel inferior. And I'm supposed to be the analyst. I'm supposed to be the smart one. You're supposed to be the host. You're supposed to be the charismatic one. Why are we switching this dynamic now?
We want to switch. You don't want to switch. You don't want to be the charismatic host.
I guess so. Hello, everybody. Welcome back because we got the draw show. You know, we're gonna be taking all these teams that have qualified for the Atlanta Major and putting them into the groups to see who's gonna have the group of death.
Wow. Okay, who's gonna have the group of death? We're already like throwing in these big words. We haven't even drawn our first relax, but we're about to get it started. So a little bit of a refresher. We have Wolves from EU, Dark Zero from NA, NIP from Brazil. We have KAG from Japan, Sandbox from Korea, Alpha Adders from LATAM, Fury, Masia, Bliss from OC, G2 Esports from EU, SSG from NA, Los from Brazil, you guys have just seen that, Rest Gaming from Japan, Talon from Korea, Pittsburgh Knights from LATAM, Bleed from Southeast Asia as well, and GK have made it from MENA, not Falcons. So, CDAPS, who do you not want to see go up against Brazil?
I think anybody going up against Brazil is going to struggle because going up against NIP and going up against Los is almost an instant rough position to be in. I think either one of those teams, they're going to end up having the group of death just because they're in it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, Brazil is the strongest region in the world right now, and I wouldn't want to play against them. You wouldn't want to play against them. So let's see. We're just gonna wait for. We don't have audio at the moment, and also I don't speak Portuguese, so I cannot actually translate what's being said. But I am so excited. Those are a couple bowls, and we're gonna get different seeds. As if I remember this correctly from the Copenhagen Major drawing, was that actually two teams from the same region could not go up against each other. So you would go to the next bowl and grab the next team, and then if they're the same region, well, then you go to the next one.
Yeah, and the top seeds, those are naturally the teams that were like third place in their region. They didn't have to go through LCQ, just like Ninjas and Pajamas here as they start off. Once again, NIP have been such a phenomenal story to witness throughout the entirety of this year, starting from 9th/10th place in phase 1, hitting a wake-up call, doing a dominant LCQ run, and making it all the way to Copenhagen.
Yeah, and then Copenhagen, they're placing in the top 8th. And then they're coming back to stage 2 in Brazil, and they're 3rd. They are skipping everything. They just went straight through. They didn't have to play the LCQ. So we have Cyclops Gaming, and they are going to be the second team that has been picked. They're going to be moved into Group B.
Yeah, and with Cyclops, they didn't make Copenhagen. This is a fan favorite team that you would expect to always be at international events. And now they can bounce back. They've got to go deep in Atlanta to try to make SI, but equally so, we also have Dark Zero hailing from North America, a team that is always in conversations for taking the whole thing, slightly underperforming so far, but looking to bounce back as they are the defending North American major champions all the way back from Charlotte.
Yeah, I love how you say slightly underperforming, but they literally got knocked out in the Swiss by Liquid last time during the Copenhagen. Yep. So Wolves coming in from EU, they did survive the group of death in Copenhagen last time around, which had W7M in it. So really exciting to see how they're going to be placing because they sent M&M to the LCQ, and that was a team that everyone had a lot of high hopes for.
Yep, and equally so, coming from Korea is Sandbox joining NIP last stage 1, second place, and now going back to back in stage 2. And sure, they're slightly behind D+ in Korea, but they're going to be looking to really grow upon what they saw in Copenhagen last stage, mainly being grouped immediately.
Los, they are getting picked as well from the LCQ that they've just secured about like 20 minutes ago. They now also know the group that they're going to be taking part of. They didn't even compete in the Copenhagen Major, so going this time around to the Atlanta Major is going to be absolutely huge. This gives them a chance to try and secure as many points as possible for SI, and G2 are going to be in the same group as Dark Zero. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, right now, Group B, I think, is the easiest. Group C, so far, definitely shaping up to be the most difficult. G2, you might know them from lifting the hammer. up being the hailing SI champions. Sure, they've had some changes, they've had some roster moves, and they've bounced back stronger than ever with a new coach, but there are such big shoes to fill for G2 as they have high aspirations, just like Space Station. Now we see Crank Station Gaming. I don't know how in tune you are with the memes of North America, but SSG, they've got their work cut out for them as well, taking on Wolves in a sort of mentality of SSG struggling internationally, trying to bounce back now.
Yeah, Talon as well, struggling internationally because they didn't even make it to the Copenhagen Major last time. So this is really their first taste this time around of that international stage when it comes to these majors, and they're going to be competing. They were placed fourth this time around in their own respective region, which is Korea, and they're going to be going into Group B because, as we mentioned earlier as well, if you are a group from the same region, a team from the same region, you're not going to be, thrown in the same group because we want to give the chances.
Yeah, exactly. And for Crest, this is a new team on the block. They just punched their ticket last night, very late in the Japan LCQ, and they're going to be fighting up against Sandbox as well as NIP. So not a great position to be in. And the group of death, I think it gets even harder as Fury, the most dominant Asian team that we've seen so far, is going up against DZ and G2, meaning Group C once again just gets even more difficult.
I hecking love Group C. I mean, it's not getting easy. And then we also have Alpha Atheris from LATAM. They did not compete in Copenhagen, something to keep in mind, but they were the first place, knocking out the league's favorite this time around. So that is something to keep in mind. A lot of eyes on them this time around and how they will be competing in that international stage, getting that flavor, getting that taste first time around. And the next one, Geekate, men up, please. No, don't tell me are they going to go in Group A? No, not against. Okay, well, if you're a MENA fan, just close your eyes and pretend that doesn't happen. At least it's not Group B, right?
Yeah, not Group C. I think Geekay does have a pretty decent shot at just putting the entire region on their back and trying to punch their ticket to SI. They're in Group A. Meanwhile, Bleed Esports joining Group B means that Group B got a little bit more spicy. This is a roster that in BO1s has not lost a single regular season game. The only team they've lost maps to are Fury, who managed to take them out of competition for Copenhagen.
Ooh.
But now in Atlanta, they're looking to bounce back in an international debut.
No, Bliss is going in Group C. I am so sorry, Bliss fans. G2, Dark Zero in there as well. It is what it is, and that only leaves one team, CDAPS, the final team to be joining in Group D. How are you feeling? How do you look? I'm looking at these groups and I'm like, genuinely, as a Geekay fan, as much as I initially reacted, oh, if you're a Geekay fan, close your eyes, I think they generally have a really good chance of getting out of groups.
I think
yes,
actually
NIP is there, but yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, I don't know if, they're going to have to swap Bliss just because Pittsburgh Knights and Alpha Theoris are both LATAM rosters. But now I think Group C got a little bit of a just quick step back. They got a breath of fresh air. Bliss, coming out of the dominant OCE run back to back, is looking to use their advantage and the experience they gained at the slaughter they experienced in Copenhagen, and now going to another international event. I think this young roster could really just step up. And meanwhile, Pittsburgh Knights, the Argentinian roster hailing from the LATAM region, is joining that group of death, and it's going to be hard for their debut to have to go up against three teams that are essentially qualified for SI.
What a way to start off your day. I mean, it depends where you are in the world, but we're closing it out. I mean, looking at these groups, I'm really excited to see Group A as well as Group C. I'm looking forward to see how far Wolves can make it as well in their respective group. But all in all, this is really exciting. I'm expecting from Group A, NIP and Geekay. I'm being completely honest. I would be surprised if G2 doesn't make it out either. But do you want to throw in some early predictions, CDAPs? They've been going really well your way.
Alrighty, I'm going fast. We're going NIP
Let's
Geekay
go.
out of A. Group B, Los and Bleed. That's that's my flavor pick. C, you got to go DZ as well as G2. And out of Group D, once again, the top seeds, Wolves and SSG.
All right, fair. I think that's pretty much aligns with what I was thinking in regards of the teams making it. I think EU has got a really great chance, which, if you're an EU fan, that's really important. NA, you guys have been given a chance. Please don't do an oopsie poopsie. Make it out, Just saying it. I am happy for Geeky. I'm happy for Mena. Falcons last time around in phase 1 have done an incredible performance and they've made it really far. So it will be interesting to see if another Mena team is able to do it this far as well. And then again, from the Brazil side of things, when we're looking at Los, that's a team that has made it through the LCQ. They've really fought to be here. So want to see that improvement continue, and literally the exact same for NIP this time around, because they have really improved a lot. And I would love to see if this is going to be any different than what we've seen last time.
I really don't think so, because for NIP, sure, they're almost all but confirmed for the 6 Invitational in Sao Paulo, but for them, they're going to be looking more introspectively and be like, hey, we improved a lot last stage and we managed to get top 8. What's stopping them now from even more improvement and going for top 4? I think that's where the finish line is, at least for NIP. They're going to be looking to take the entire event. Sure, that's going to be a very tumultuous course, very difficult ahead of them. But if any team can do it out of these kind of top 16 here that we see, or pardon me, bottom 16, I think NIP have a pretty decent shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And a reminder for those in chat that are continuously asking where is X team, where is Y team. Reminder: Virtus Pro, BDS, Sonics, MAT, W7M Esports, FaZe Clan, Scars, and D+ are all confirmed for phase 2. That is going to be the playoffs phase. So the top of each team of the groups that we're looking at right now will be joining them once they have topped their group. So just a little bit of a reminder and an explainer of the format. Once the major starts, a very in-depth explanation as well, to make sure that your goldfish memory is able to keep up. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was really exciting. That was really fun. I'm really looking forward to the Atlanta Major. I'm looking forward to play-ins. I'm looking forward to playoffs. I'm looking forward to the whole thing. And I hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much for sticking around for the entirety of Brazil. It has been an honor. And thank you for having me, CDAPS. Any final words? I know it's not the end of it, as in your life, but any final words for the broadcast?
This is the end of the stage so far in Brazil. Once again, it did not disappoint with the storylines that were able to be crafted. FaZe, back-to-back champions, and now they're going to be looking to take the next step in international competition. W7M, they've got a crown to defend as they're already in phase 2 of Atlanta. NIP, they improved so much once again, just like Los. So these storylines, they've been phenomenal to go through and see in Brazil. And I'm so happy that you were able to join us. I think we had some great banter and overall a really fun desk dynamic that was a pleasure to watch as well as be a part of.
You are too kind. Well, thank you so much for those lovely words. It's been a pleasure working with you. It's been a pleasure working with the team behind the scenes. Shout out as well to Ferme and Gray for making all the replays and making everything run smoothly. We are not going to be back with Brazil because next up is the Atlanta Major. Make sure you mark those down in your calendar. You're going to be missing out on Siege for the next few weeks, but we'll be back with the Major. Tune in for that. Enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your morning, wherever it is you are. Take care of yourselves, guys, and see you at the Major.